Thank you guys for being here while we're eating lunch right here at school. So my speech today is going to be on a policy about bullying. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit something that's kind of dear to my heart. I was kind of bullied as a kid when I was younger in elementary school. I was a smaller kid, and so they thought it'd be fun to kind of bully me. So I felt like the policy on bullying kind of needs to be changed. So I was looking at the different policies with schools, outside of schools, and what they do. And so I kind of felt like it should be changed. And so I saw this report by the Bureau of Justice Statistics, and it states that bullying still takes place in schools, and it's still more known in schools than it is cyberbullying. So it's still more affecting schools than it is cyber, even though cyber is starting to become a new thing. 1 in 3 students will say that they have been bullied throughout their school career, and it actually starts between 6th grade to 12th grade is the time frame that it starts to happen more. There was a study that showed in 1 year, 160,000 students do not attend school just for the fear of bullying. And that was done by the U.S. Department of Justice, and that was a national thing. Another thing was that 28% of students will experience bullying between those grades. So 28% out of the whole nation, that's a good chunk of kids if you stop to think about it. So I noticed, like even at our school and other schools, the policy states that if the student gets in a fight for bullying, it tends to be they get suspended for the maximum amount of days. Now, I kind of felt that it's unfair for the victim to be suspended for self-defense. They can only take so much, and then now they're being punished for self-defending themselves. For the bully, it's kind of like a reward. I got in a fight, now I'm going to be off for vacation for 10 days. What message are we really sending to these kids? So, it's really not fair to either party because we're not really doing anything to either party. So American Psychology Association, the APA, performed a study, and between 6th grade, that's when the peak happens of bullying, and then actually starts slowing down once it gets up to the senior year. The other thing that they did a study on was the psychological effects, anxiety, depression. They just don't do well in school, which actually leads up to lower academic achievement. They do horrible in school, all because of bullying. Flip my notes here. There was an article I saw from it was done by Melissa Janko, and she stated that the schools actually started to become safer because they implemented an intervention rather than a discipline. And so an intervention it could be as simple as taking the bully aside and just putting them in their shoes. You know, because we're talking 6th graders when it starts to happen. And obviously this doesn't work as well as for a senior, but they have different programs for the grade levels. But just, they instead of punishing them, they did a intervention with them, and they found that it's actually lowered bullying in schools. So they had simple ideas as self-evaluation. They're basically looking in the mirror. What can I do to be better? Like, maybe what I did was really hurtful, and as a 6th grader, they can kind of think about that. And so those were cool ideas. And then they talked about school-wide staffs. They needed to have expectations on bullying, having meetings. Like, as a united front, we all have to have the same report on what we're going to do on bullying. It doesn't work when 2 teachers are doing 2 different things. So when we're all on a united front, it works better. Classroom rules, just flat out stated, we don't bully other students. We help students that are being bullied. you notify somebody, you help them. And then if the student's feeling not included, you include them so they don't feel like they're all alone, and that prevents the bullying from happening. For the severe cases, like up in the high school level, they were talking about involving a counselor and school psychologist to really get in the depth of why are they bullying. So if you suspend a senior for 10 days because he doesn't really care anymore, it's not going to do anything. Then he's going to go in the workforce and still continue this harassment and so on. So they were talking about use the resources we have here to help get to the bottom of it, to help them realize why are they doing this. So they talked about self-reflection again. They talked about what's causing it. Is it anger? Is it fear? What's the real problem? Have them interview an adult that went through bullying or that was a bully and then realized what can they do? What did they do to change? And then they can see the effects that it has on people now and then later. And so for severe cases, they talk more about doing in depth. And so for the policy on bullying, instead of just punishing them for 10 days and then every time they do it, we keep doing it and just suspending them, it's a vicious circle. We're not doing anything. We're not helping them. So instead of doing that, we need to change the policy and involve more of intervention. Help them realize why they're bullying. For the kids that are the victims, get them the counseling. Don't punish them for self-defense. Okay, give them a day suspension. They can self-reflect on what they could have done better, but not the maximum sentence. Because what did they do wrong? They just self-defend themselves. That's my policy change on bullying. I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Signing out.